Hello and welcome to a new episode of the LogTech podcast, this time again in English, because today we have an interesting topic where we found a guest from the Netherlands. And anyone who's booking like a personal trip today goes to platforms like, I don't know, Skyscanner, Google Flights, whatever, and compares different options, has different filter options. And for a long time, this was not really possible to see in logistics business, because we have a lot of different jungles of carrier websites, Excel sheets, and so on. But also there we're making progress. And one of the platforms that is doing a lot of comparison, not necessarily in terms of booking your transport, but on finding different options and seeing the variety and have different filter options. That is Routescanner, and today we have here Ruud. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Stefan. Looking forward.
Yeah, thanks for joining the show. And maybe before we dive into what you actually do and how that fits in a broader landscape of LogTech, just give us a brief introduction of yourself, the company, and what you do.
Sure. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so my name is Ruud van Dijk. I've been working for Routescanner for about 4 years now. I joined the, let's say, logistics supply chain space about 5 years ago. Before that, I worked mostly in startup environments, innovation, startup ecosystems, but always very involved in digital. And I actually joined Port of Rotterdam 5 years ago. That's where I started as an innovation manager. And about 4 years ago, I joined Routescanner. Currently functioning in the role of commercial director. So I'm overseeing the sales, business development, marketing at Routescanner. And I think you introduced it quite well. So you introduced us quite well. We're a solution in the LogTech space that helps companies optimize their container logistics globally. So we focus on container logistics. And our goal is to support companies, whether it's more from a quoting and booking phase all the way to strategic procurement, to have better insights in the options that are available around the globe. And I think something that is unique about Routescanner is also the intermodal capability. So there's multiple, let's say, ocean route planning tools available.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual unique part of what we do is that we have also intermodal schedules, and we've built an algorithm on top that seamlessly plans routes across the globe. So that is, I think, in essence, the core of what we do. And of course, we have different solutions and these kind of things. Mm-hmm. But the essence of what we do is in a routing perspective.
Cool. And you basically serve freight forwarders and shippers both, or are you focused on one of them?
Yeah, so primarily freight forwarders, I would say. So that's where we see most traction. Routescanner is best positioned to support companies that have some sort of complexity. So if you have very easy setups, if you just operate one line, Routescanner is not your solution. We're really supporting companies that have complexity. So that's where we are making a difference. And as a forwarder, because you're serving multiple customers across the globe, you automatically have some complexity. You have some volume. You have a lot of code requests. You have multiple tenders you have to review. So as long as companies have some sort of complexity in their logistics, whether that's as a solution provider or like a service provider or a cargo owner, we can support you in optimizing.
Oh, cool. And could you walk me maybe through the process if I would be the logistics provider or the freight forwarder, and I got a request from a customer, I don't know, from Rotterdam to Shanghai, for example. What information do I need to provide, and what do I get back from you?
So I think Rotterdam Shanghai is an easy example, right? So what we prefer is to actually talk in terms of factory where it's produced and this, let's say, distribution center of the customer where it needs to go to.
Okay.
So somewhere in China to Vienna.
Or Vienna to I don't know, the backland of Shanghai.
Yeah. So let's say that. So what we need from you as a in the most basic way is we need an address, a logo, a terminal name, on both ends, so the origin and the destination. You're free to also define a certain time frame in which a booking or a shipment should take place. That's all the info we need. And from there, we, our routing algorithm starts looking for possible routes, which takes into account, and I think that's the sort of unique part of Routescanner, is that we have the schedules of about 290 carriers and operators across the globe. That's ocean, but also rail and barge. And we have global trucking routing on top. So basically what our system will do is it will look for possible routes from your origin to your destination. It visually provides you all the available options. And based on your parameters, which is optionally, we would also on top need you to define if you have a certain carrier set that you're working with, if you want to avoid or force the route to go via a certain port. So the more information you can provide us as context, the more accurate the routing suggestions will be. So in the most basic form, we need an origin and a destination, and we'll get you a result. This result could be the most sustainable route. It could be the quickest route focused on lead time, or a combination between those two. And we recently also added ocean reliability as another parameter to optimize your routes.
Ocean reliability. So that means like how reliable the service of the carriers, or?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So what we found is, because we work schedule based, this, of course, I mean, that's a known topic in the market, is ocean schedule reliability is low, right? So, and of course, per carrier, it also varies heavily. So when you're planning your container shipments, you have to go by the schedules because you don't have AIS data for something that hasn't happened yet. So, but of course, you want to be as certain as possible that the routes you find are actually feasible in practice. So that's where we've now added ocean reliability, which basically compares the schedules that we receive from the carriers and operators with the AIS data to sort of compare to what extent do they abide to their transit time that they communicate. Are they arriving on time as they communicate? Are they departing on time as they communicate? And for each service, we also provide these insights now.
Okay. And how do you, in general, get these information? Are you integrated with all the carriers directly, or is it like everything that is freely accessible on their website?
Yeah, it's a mix. So we're not scraping. Basically, what we do is it's a mix of indeed direct integrations, so EDI API integrations with schedule with the carriers. We have built a platform ourselves, or like a tool ourselves, for any company that's not in the position who doesn't have yet an EDI or API available. That's mostly for intermodal. So these companies, many of them do not have APIs or EDIs for their schedules. So we've built a system ourselves that makes it very easy to upload this data. And the third part is that we have a third-party data provider to sort of complement the data gaps for carriers that we do not have on board yet via API and EDI.
Okay. So
it's a combination.
In some way, not only the person who is getting the schedule information from you is your customer, but in some way it's also the carrier who's providing you with data, right?
Yeah, but they are partners.
You with data that or it wouldn't be possible by the customer to be found by the carrier. Sorry.
Yeah. So the carriers for us are our partners. So they share their schedule portfolio with us, and in exchange they get visibility of their network to all our customers and users. But it's more like a partnership relationship. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And then I don't know. Can you estimate like what is the coverage in Europe or globally?
Yeah. So we cover about 92% of ocean volume in TEUs. So so we're pretty complete. We have quite a lot of feeder services as well, like feeder providers, small local ocean carriers as part of the platform. Inland Europe, if we cover real barge, it's difficult for us because there's no one in the market that has a full overview. I think we're getting as close as you can. So we always say we have like 97, 98% covered because there might be some gaps that we don't know. So we're continuously in the market looking for additional operators, carriers to add to the platform. So we have two people that are dedicatedly looking at this part, managing our ecosystem and expanding the ecosystem. So yeah, I would say Europe, we're as complete as you can be for your own barge.
Okay, cool. And as a freight forwarder, I mean, I have all these different tariffs with the different carriers. Is there also a way how I can properly connect that so that it's maybe not only comparing? No, let's first ask the question: what is actually what are you comparing about? So what is the what are the details that I can see when I did a comparison?
Yeah. So and I would have to do it by heart because there's quite some. Like in the end, like results, we're comparing. Yeah, so we're comparing results. Lead time, emissions, or balance between those. That's basically how we allow you to sort results in Routescanner. Then, but I earlier discussed, we have the filters, and more like the information you will get within the results. That includes a lot of details in terms of lead times, emissions, where the service code, the vessel name, the carrier, of course, the departure date, arrival date. We have transit times, so also the transfers in the ports. We have that integrated. Yeah, like a lot of details. It's like basically all the details you would expect. The fuel types for rail, we have integrated. So whether rail is electrified or diesel. So all these kind of details that will help us. Reliability, as I earlier explained. So there's a lot of details that you will get as part of the results. And that's also our vision, is to provide you all the relevant information, the key decision criteria, basically, to make better decisions in your container logistics, whether that's operational or on the strategic level.
Okay. Yeah, then actually coming back to the question that I just wanted to ask, because if I'm the freight forwarder and I have all these cool filter options and I see, okay, now the perfect route from, I don't know, from Vienna to Shanghai would be this, but then I might not have accessible rates with that carrier or the inland carrier. Is that also taken into account, or is it somehow integrated with my different rating tools that I have?
Yeah, so we can integrate with rating platforms, so rate management providers. So that is one option. Another option would be to integrate actually our platform as an API into your own system and sort of link your rates to the Routescanner API results. So as a result, you will have rates alongside emissions, lead time, reliability to evaluate your decision making. So it depends a little bit. And another route we're exploring is to integrate benchmark rates, so to partner with a benchmark rate provider. But yeah, it's a complex topic. Rates are like, no one has the same rates. Benchmark rates are very interesting, especially if you're tendering, if you have long time horizon. So that's really where we see the application. On the other hand, if a forwarder is more in the booking stage, they're actually looking at their own rates. And a rate integration would be needed, whether that's exposing our API or integrating their rate sheets, for instance, into the Routescanner system. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess you get that question quite often. Then I'm actually adding a separate tool to what the freight forwarder is using anyway already, right? So besides looking at the rate tool, TMS, whatever they might have, or in a worst case, Excel spreadsheets with rates or whatever, then I'm adding like a separate tool on top to do the comparison, right?
Yeah, but that's why we're saying, like, ideally we would integrate your rate sheets, so those Excel sheets you're referring to, integrate it into Routescanner.
And then you would see the
So
price there for that route as well?
yeah. So we built,
Okay.
well, technically it's already available. So we have the technology. We just need the rates, whether it's a benchmark rate or rate sheet. We can plug that in, and then it will be shown as part of the evaluation. So you will actually see the lead time, the emissions, and the rates. And you'll also be able to balance those three to determine your optimal route. Yeah.
Cool.
So indeed, like, this is something we ran into. We started out from a strong sustainability drive that expanded over time. And rates is an important one, where we see that we either need to push Routescanner solution towards other solutions, so a forwarder can integrate it into their existing systems, or make sure that they use Routescanner for the sort of full route planning spectrum, which include rates. So that's definitely like what we also see in the market. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And now I'm
And
actually
rates
curious.
is the question we get the most. And the second one is air. Do you have air? So that's the second one.
I mean, that's pretty obvious because you want to have that as well as a freight forwarder.
Yeah.
But as you just said, you started off with that sustainability, let's call it story.
Yeah.
How did you see that develop over the past few years? Because in many areas, we've seen that the focus is not that much on sustainability anymore as it was during COVID or before the Russia-Ukraine war. Do you see that as well?
Yeah. So I think, I think there's still quite a focus on emissions. But what we saw a couple of years ago, and why we also pivoted to be a broader platform, is that just the emissions. I mean, emission reporting is one thing, but like, how do you integrate emissions into your broader operations or planning or strategy? For that, to do that effectively, you really need the other key elements to be present. So I would say, like, emission, in my perspective, emission is still high on agendas. But companies are struggling to really come up with like reduction strategies. So the emission reporting, it's a crowded field. I would say many companies offer solutions, but companies struggle to really optimize and reduce the emissions in their logistics. I think that's where one of the biggest challenges is.
Yeah, I guess especially if you look at freight forwarders, right? Because in the end, they just need, in most of the times, they just need to do what the customer wants. And in many cases, they push for as cheap as possible, but as sustainable as possible. So in the end, it's the freight forwarder who has to, find the best solution. But in many cases, in order to win business, it's not really an option to take the sustainable way.
Yeah. I'm not sure I really agree. Like, so of course, I do agree that the cost of shipments is the rates are still the most important. But I really do see a change in terms of how forwarders are approaching not only emissions, but like the broader perspective. So go beyond rates as part of their service offering, whether you call it like value-added services, whether you call it consultative selling, whatever. It's like sitting down with your customers and having a discussion beyond costs and having the tools available to do that effectively. That's where we see a lot of traction now. So we see a lot of forwarders that are actually exploring this, making initial steps. So yeah, I would say, like, I do agree that rates is still the most important, but I disagree that it's still just rates. In some cases, probably, but there's definitely a lot of forwarders that are looking to take a different approach. Let me put it like that.
And would you say it's the forwarders are doing it because they want to do it, or is it because of the shipper's need or requirement?
Mostly the latter, I would say. Yeah.
Sorry?
Mostly the latter. So it's more the It's a tough question. I think in the end, it's driven by the customer, of course. If the customer doesn't find it relevant, then they won't do it. But it's also to some extent an internal drive that I see, that they see it as an opportunity to differentiate, right? So it's of course very difficult to differentiate if you just always push on rates.
Yeah, that's right.
So expanding your service offering beyond rates, whether it's on lead time, reliability, cost, congestions, whatever parameters you want to include, emissions, of course. We see it move in that direction.
Okay, no, which is actually cool. I mean, in the end, that's what we all need. And happy to see, or happy to hear if that really is the case.
Yeah.
And I mean, your platform thrives on data of hundreds of carriers. What is the biggest challenge actually in aggregating all these different data sources and presenting it like a standardized, easy comparable format?
I think the biggest challenge used to be that all the data is in different formats. I think we bridged that gap quite effectively with the tool we built internally, especially for those companies that are not technically advanced. I think what is often underappreciated is the amount of work that goes into this harmonization of data. And it's not just the scheduled data, it's also all the terminals around the globe, all the ports, how to connect all these logistics hubs. I think that is where like a lot of the challenges come from. I think among the carriers, they use different formats, they use different setups of the data. So we have to make sure that we can integrate all their different APIs, EDIs. But I think where we bridged a gap that no one bridged so far is actually the non-digitized data sharing, so to say, where companies do not have an API or an EDI. And that's where we have bridged this towards a platform that unites all this intermodal data into a single platform.
And that is most likely the inland carrier and short sea and feeder services, or what is the main area?
Smaller short seas, feeder services. Yeah, of course. Also, like in that regard, like after a certain size, we need an API or EDI integration. We cannot, of course, not like work with a tool that we build internally to, let's say, manage a portfolio of MSC.
Yeah,
that's not gonna work. Yeah, so you need like so it will be like you need like the smaller non-digitized barge, rail, and short sea feeder operators. Yeah.
And how often do they actually change their schedule? Is it like that you need to update that on a weekly basis, or how often does it change?
For short sea feeders, yes. Rail providers depends a little bit, but in most cases, it's not more than quarterly. So it's like quarterly reviews we do with all our operators and carriers, or even half yearly reviews. It depends a little bit on the size of the company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's still okay, but sounds like a whole lot of effort.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Keeping it up to date, keeping it accurate is of course also the crucial thing, but it's also where a lot of work goes into.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
How many people do you have on the team?
15. And about
15 in general, or just for doing that, keeping it up to date?
No. We have 2 to 3 people focusing just on the data, sort of the maintaining of our data position and the expansion of our data position. The total team is 15 people. About 8 of them are on the development side, so front and back end, data science, and about 6, 7 of us are more on the commercial side and the ecosystem side. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, cool. And do you see? Not sure if you even track that, but can you see if a customer is starting new? that in the beginning the user is maybe looking for the fastest route, and with the time it changes, or their behavior changes to actually using more sustainable routes?
I
So
wouldn't
that you can
say
actually track
that.
a different user behavior or development of the user behavior?
Yeah, so of course we understand, or we know what's being searched, these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say that there's like a very clear pattern whether they, because in the end, what we see is it's very customer based, right? So some customers might be very strongly focused on the emissions front, while others are maybe for more strongly on the lead time front. So in retail, you often see that lead time is very important.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's more like it's the customer that basically drives what the freight forwarder is doing on our platform, and then it's a sort of transition over time where more focus is on sustainability. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And how is it with the carriers? Are they actively engaged? Are they coming to you and maybe also asking for features, or is that the feature request, is that more coming from the user side?
It is also coming from carriers, but then that's mostly because carriers and operators often in many cases, have their own forwarding or 4PL divisions. So besides the active relationship we have on the schedule front with the carriers, we often also have a relationship more on the commercial front, let's say, to in their
Okay.
let's say forwarding operations. Yeah, so that's where we see where we have a lot of engagement as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And you are, or you're phrasing yourself as independent platform, so you're not actually tied to any carrier or whatever. Is that also something which generates the trust with the carrier to actually provide you with the information and the data?
Yeah, I would say so. So it's twofold. It's on the one side is this. We've also Routescanner has been initiated by the Port of Rotterdam initially. So that's also where basically where Port of Rotterdam started the initiative of Routescanner, which really also, of course, supported let's say the trust element in Routescanner. And I would say the second one, what drives their interest is also the visibility they get. And then I mean like the visibility of their routes, of their portfolios towards all our customers, all our users. That's of course another big reason for them to join Routescanner as well, to participate as a supplier of data. Yeah.
Yeah. If I imagine I would be the freight forwarder, I would also love to not just compare and see the prices and so on, but also to use like a one-click booking. Is that something that people asking for a lot?
Not so much. So I get it. In the early days, what we decide is that we are not gonna compete with the forwarder by offering sort of booking services. So that's at least how we approached it, is that we want to be a platform that helps forwarders and carriers in their decision making by giving insights into the data, but not be a booking platform, because once we do that, we start also competing with our customers to some extent.
But
so that's what we've.
Would it be? I mean, if you would just place the booking in the name of the freight forwarder, there would not necessarily be like a competitor.
That's true.
Like
that's true. But
tool.
Yeah. So of course we've had this question. We've not done this before. So of course, if a forwarder says but then I think I come back to like the API. So what we then discuss with the forwarder is integrate Routescanner's API into your, let's say, website front end, where basically your customers can not only book, but actually have a planning tool for the actual booking tool on the website of a forwarder. So that is a kind of setup that definitely would work. But us being sort of a booking agent or whatever ourselves is not something we're
Yeah.
actively working
I mean,
towards.
that would also kill that neutrality aspect.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
which most likely would not be very good.
So it's
but
an appealing one, but yeah, we've decided not to do it. So
yeah, but in
Yeah.
the end, by just forwarding or just being the interface and submitting what the user was searching for and submitting that to the carrier, that somehow would turn like thousands of mid-sized freight forwarders into digital freight forwarders.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, in my opinion, would also be really interesting to see what would happen to the market if thousands of freight forwarders could like digitize to that extent.
Yeah.
In a very short time.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna think about it. Thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a commercial guy, so I'm waiting for your call then.
Sure, let's do it. Yeah, no, but I it's an interesting. I think as long as we can support the forwarder in their digitization journey, we're up for it. And yeah, we would love to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Now for a quick round of either or questions. So you need to choose one answer. You can also explain it a little bit, but you definitely need to decide. So I got a couple of questions there. The fastest route or the lowest CO2 route?
The fastest route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it would be for me personally,
I think in the end,
I'm talking on the way to work, for example, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's also in the end, I think it's where the market is at the moment. Is
yeah,
faster is still more important than sustainable.
Yeah,
It has been. I think sustainability had momentum, but it's not there right now.
Yeah,
I think.
And what is your focus for future development? Is it the maximum number of route options and carriers, or a curated selection of the most reliable and digitally connected partners?
What do you mean with the second one?
Like the most
If I may
reliable
answer.
services that you just mentioned also in the beginning, that you have that
Mhm.
reliability score. So is
Yeah.
it to extend rather to the maximum number and route options and maximum number of carriers, or do you really want to show only the selected most reliable carriers?
Yeah. I can say both, but then I'm gonna go for the second one, and that's maybe not what you expect, but let me explain. It's because what I see is that at this point in time, what for us is a big focus is that we're, I would say, moving from facilitating a decision to actually suggesting a decision or even making the decision for our user. So I would say like the latter one points more in that direction, where you actually, where we can apply new technologies to actually already decide for the customer what is best for them, instead of so that's for me ties more into reliability than expanding the network, which I also
that's right.
But yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay, and one last question: what is the bigger lever for more sustainability in logistics? Is it transparency through data platforms like Routescanner, or is it the technological advancements in shipping engines and so
on. I would say platforms. Yeah.
Okay.
So the first one. Yeah.
Because
I think
you think you can squeeze a lot more efficiency out of it, or?
Yeah, that's the first one, and I think in the end the platforms are needed for the second one to actually be measured, I would say. So I think you need platforms, you need intelligent systems to help you understand the impact of what you do. And then, of course, it's great if like the technologies come there to actually do it.
Yeah.
I think with Routescanner, you can already reroute and you can save emissions, which also has consequences, right? So it's not like, oh, I'm just going to do it differently tomorrow, but you can really take a strategic perspective on how you can reduce emissions just by rerouting. But if you talk about technology like electrification, these kind of things, also for those, you need digital platforms, smart technologies to actually understand the impact and then base your decision upon. So I would go for first.
Okay, cool. Yeah, but I mean, we're coming to an end, but I still have that one topic in mind where I would like to hear your opinion on, because we're having that increase of AI solutions and so on all over the place. How do you see that in the future? Would it be, or will there be in a short-term future, I don't know, 1-2 years, will it be that there's AI-driven decision-making or maybe AI-driven fully automated booking that considers all the parameters that Routescanner actually generates and does the booking fully automatic? Or do you think it will still remain like an intelligent tool that supports the human dispatcher?
Yeah. For us, what do you think in terms of the market as a whole? Will we do this in 2 years?
If we look at the market as a whole, it's really hard to believe. I don't think that will work. Also, because you have so many, like thousands or 100,000s of freight forwarders who are just not even capable of using that kind of technology because they just don't have a setup around it. But I also, to some extent, believe that like really digital native or digital first mid-sized companies or maybe also startups will find a way to do it fully automated. Because I mean, in the end, if you have consistent data, and this is the only thing that you actually need, once you have the consistent data, it could be fully automated. And there are companies who are working with AI agents to do a fully automated booking process already. It's just not scaled to the full company yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so my view is, I don't like to, or we don't like to throw the word like AI around whenever we can. I think what I mentioned earlier is pointing towards that I firmly believe that automated decision making within Routescanner is very feasible. But it needs a lot of like a very strong partnership with your clients, I think, because it's all about the data. So on the one hand, we need to fully trust in our solution in terms of the results that we provide. If you automate things, I mean, there's no human checking it. So, but on the other hand, I mean, a challenge for us remains, and a challenge for everyone in the industry remains, data quality. And it's not only our data quality, it's also the customer's data quality. So they will come in with data and suggest or like request a route or request a booking or whatever from us. But if their data is not good, our output will also not be good. So I think I agree with you. Like the more digitized, the more I think the customer needs to have their systems and data in order. Then I think it's feasible for us, for Routescanner, to partner with someone and automate this process. Yeah.
Okay. So where do you see like the future for global transport planning in, I don't know, let's say 5 years? What do you think? What will be the state?
This is such a dangerous one. I mean, I think one of my biggest concerns with it is that in the last 5 years, because so I've been 5 years now in sort of logistics, supply chain, especially logistics, mostly focusing on that. I'm still learning every day, like new things every day, running into abbreviations that I don't know every day. So it's like It's such a complex landscape and industry that in 5 years, I still think, still think there will be a lot of issues with data. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see that being solved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably
we do a
agree.
lot with data. We get a lot of data from different companies, different sources. You asked it before, like all the operators. You have initiatives that try to do sort of standardize this, but it's such a complex industry. There's so many stakeholders along the way that are involved. You need so many. Yeah, so I think as a solution provider, we can do a lot, but the market as a whole, between
Mhm.
solution providers, us working with our customers, in 5 years sounds like so far away, but it's also very close. I strongly
Mhm.
believe there will be amazing AI solutions in 5 years. Um, but I don't think there will be like a sort of, they will have reached like sort of global standardization or something, so that they are like the one everyone's using, and it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
it's hard to believe for me.
Yeah, for me too, especially if you really look into data that customers also have today. So
Yeah,
when I talk to clients, and sometimes I just assume they have everything, and then you start
yeah,
in a new corporation, and you start in creating the SOP, and then you find out, okay, the customer has absolutely no clue what is coming to him. So
yeah, yeah.
and
So
this
it's
is
for us like I mean, for me, a very practical example. We have. So I just said like we don't need a lot. We need an origin and a destination, and it's enough.
Mhm.
But like sometimes we run into issues there because so we work with the global UN low code standards, but then we get a
Yeah.
file from a customer that says, I don't know, like Port of Rotterdam, but they don't use the Rotterdam UN low code. Or we just get a low code, but it's not a UN low code. So
Yeah.
I mean that's like the level where we are today. So
Yeah.
it's if you take that as sort of a standard today, yeah, there's such a lot of work still to do, so much work. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But we will have made great
Maybe
advancements.
maybe it will work for standardized routes
Yeah,
in a very short term. So I don't know, Far East westbound, just that import of a 40-foot container port to
yeah,
port, or FOB to
yeah,
warehouse of the customer, that might work. Um, but I'm also really struggling to believe that in 5 years it will be working for warehouse to warehouse operations across
yeah,
the globe. Really hard to believe.
yeah.
And I
But we're
mean,
gonna push for
most
it.
of the documents and data I see is related to Far East or to US and Europe, and not even talking about Africa. So I have no
Yeah,
idea actually how the data is there. When I was in South Africa working, the documents we had were like even worse. So
yeah.
yeah,
We
let's
have
see
the
how it
same on
develops.
inland. It's like Africa is a struggle. So yeah, it's like yeah, that's it. We have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Which is also exciting, right? I mean, that makes it exciting
Yeah, no,
for me.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for joining the show. To just give a few answers on your perspective.
Thanks
Really
for the
interesting,
invite.
and yeah, happy to talk to you again, and hopefully we see each other sometime in the future in
Yeah,
at any trade fair or whatever. When you're around in Germany, just give me a call.
I will do. Thanks for the invite again. Much appreciated.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot, and talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.